If I start sweating through my makeup, it's because it is hot as balls in here. Primer, I'm going to use Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin. This beautiful hydrating serum slash primer. I'm going to attempt to start talking again, so very stressful for me. Hydrating banana lip balm. Just priming everything first. I should have added contacts in before. Somebody said in my last video that I was pretty, but no with the one contact because I look like a dead fish, and I'm like, it suits me. I'm already half dead inside. Always give your foundations a good little shake before you beat that face. Favorite beauty sponge. Patting, tapping that foundation into the skin. Do not drag. Tapping and patting just minimizes the pilling, make it less sticky to dead skin cells on the skin, and overall just applies more even. I just remembered I mixed foundation with this. I used this shade in another one, but I just used this one this time, so it's a little bit mismatchy. I feel random cat hairs in my face. I also have acne scar right here. I'm not even gonna try to cover it. It's just so annoying. If anything, I'm just gonna Photoshop it out. Like, it's just an annoying little dot. Now for the areas that you missed, these are very hard to get with a foundation sponge, so I use a shadow brush and then I lightly buff it into the corners of my face, buff it over my nose, on the side, any little crevices. Especially if you have like a septum ring, a nose ring, any type of piercings on your face, it's just better to use a brush to get that foundation and concealer around those areas. And then any of those tight spaces that you want to go over and smooth out. For brows, I'm going to use About Face Chocolate Brown. My brows are quite dark. I usually go for dark brown or chocolate browns, and I use that beginning to the middle, and then on the very outer corner, I'm going to use gray or a black, just to help it blend in a little better. I am the type to cut off the corners of my brows because I like that snatched look. A more heightened Bella Hadid, you know? And then for the ends, I am using black brown. Yeah, that's what I meant. Not fully black or gray, but a black brown. Yeah. Skinny and arched. And next for concealer, It Cosmetics Do It All. This is my new favorite concealer. In one of my recent videos, I tried a full face of all new makeup, and this is my first time trying It Cosmetics. No, I think I've tried their foundation before. I don't remember, but their concealer is so good. Under my eyes, on the bridge of my nose, above my lip. I'm gonna wait for like 30 seconds until I blend it in, just so you give it some time when it's in the middle of setting. And then once you're blending it in, it just has so much more staying power, and I find out that it covers more. For contour, ABH, such gorgeous packaging. One of my favorite contour brushes is from Real Techniques. Their brush bristles never fall off, and it's super soft. Blends so well. So for any cream contour, I always go for this one. And again, I am gently tapping all that product into my skin. Not really dragging, just tap dancing. And then the second one is shadow. I'm gonna add just like a teeny weeny bit. And I'm gonna keep this real white, not really moving much. I still feel cat hair on my face. They are invisible. So itchy. For the nose, I'm going to add a teeny weeny bit of halftone just so that it could grip onto the powder and last longer. And for powder contour, I'm going to use Ilamasqua. This is a creative brand that has unfortunately fallen. A Diva has fallen. Still remains one of my favorite creative makeup brands. Just a quick little contour. I mainly focus on the tip because I have a bulbous nose. And I'll add a little bit under my brow. I don't know if the shadow is going to cover this later. But whether it does or does not, I have so much fun with contouring. And the underpainting powder, just any light powder, and clean up that contour line. Sharpens the nose and gives the illusion that it is cinched. Now I'm wondering if I should apply the blush first, because sometimes those lines will go over, and then once you apply the blush over, it might blur, muddy up those black stars with the blush. You know what? I'll do it first. Yes. Super blink pink blush. I'm gonna tap some of that cream blush first. I love layering powder over cream because it just makes it pop more in color, gives it more dimension, depth, gradient. It shows up in flash in cameras. Flash in general, it can take away like 30% to 50% of your makeup or the colors. So when you layer cream with a powder over on top, that dimension and extra color is going to have that staying power and pigment you need for flash. And just be really careful when you're layering the powder pigment over on top because it's very pigmented. Since this is a creative look, layer that girl on. So I want like, oh my god, that is so baby girl pink. And Miss Stargirl seems to have added this in the middle of her cheek, going upward, probably to her temple a little bit. I'm gonna add it towards my temple, and then also a bit under her eye here. I feel like I'm tapping too fast. Let me try to slow down a bit. It's like a combination of coffee, nervousness, talking, and also this camera. I love her, but I'm just scared that like because it's on 4K, it's gonna overheat. And I do not want to lose any of this footage for you. I'm gonna do an extra, like extra pink, just as I know while I'm working with colors, when you're starting off with almost like a blank canvas like this without adding anything to the eyes, once you do, the pink seems to like fade away. So you have to go back and forth a lot. And she also has that pink between her brows. So I'm gonna add a bit of the cream first. It's not as strong as on her cheeks, a little less product. And this is what we have so far. Just notice she has highlights under her eye and around the blush. So I'm gonna use this brand. Use these for highlight, and it's very nice for highlight. And then go under the corner of my eye, just like you're setting your concealer. It's not giving the brightness I want, so I'm gonna go more into just that super light one, the lightest color in the palette. There, that is the highlight that I want. Bring that from the side of my nose downwards a little bit so it starts surrounding that blush. It's gonna hug that blush, this area too. I'm gonna mattify and highlight around wherever is pink. All right, so now to the eyes. I have very oily eyelids, so then if you also have oil as eyelids, you just dab that off with some tissue before you add on primer. I'm gonna use MAC 24-hour eye base. I love the texture of this, so soft. Matte Essentials palette. Medium size eyeshadow blending brush. This one is from Jessup. I do have discount codes for these. I love using these brushes. So with creative eye looks, I always start with using a lighter brown shade to map out where I'm applying, and that is not light. Oops. Well, use a lighter shade than this. And I always just map out where I'm gonna place the art. This gets your hands warm and also minimizes any type of nervousness you have. It's almost like adding that first mark on a blank canvas. And I used to be super nervous, and like anything you do, it just takes practice. It just takes some experimentation, and it's like, it's your face, you know, you can do anything you want with it. If you don't like it, remove it and start over. Like, nobody sees this but you. And that's the thing about talking on camera as well. I have to get used to that, is that I have all the control. I can delete it, make my voice sound sexier, cut it, snip it, rewind it, place it anywhere I want. Like, you have all the control. Placing that first shadow underneath the beginning of my brow, and you have a natural curve here. You just want to follow that curve and be really light-handed. Once you place that shadow, you just kind of know instinctively where it flows to, and if you don't, just takes practice. Don't worry. This part right here, I find it a little bit too curved, so I'm just going to gently wipe it off. The shadow curves more inwards towards the pupil of your eye. Just a little swoop and then outwards. Adding these lighter shadows also gives you a transition shade. Then you slowly start to deepen it. Now I can deepen these shadows. So using that darker shade, apply where you just did, and then just follow your mapping. You always want to hold your brush very lightly, and you're not like really stamping it or adding a lot of pressure. You're using minimal product, and you blend by tapping, some swirling, very, very lightly. And this just helps any type of pigment blend out without having any harsh lines. And with longer lines like this, go back and forth, following the line that you just mapped. And then with the deeper shade, I'm gonna keep this just in the middle here to the outer corner, and this will add a bit more definition to a very distinct area. If you find that you went a little bit overboard, just use a Q-tip to lightly brush that pigment off. This has such a cool shape to it. This one is really flat, compact, and has this nice curve. So the feeling of this brush just gives us so much more control. This is for a brow brush, but obviously you can use it for anything you want to, and I use it for my brows as well as a liner a lot. Matte Essentials palette again, always tap out the excess. I'm gonna keep my eyes straight while I stamp on where I want to apply that liner, just so I know when I open my eyes, it's like that is where that liner is gonna show, and that's exactly where it's going. And then I can close my eyes and do the rest. So I'm slightly blending and blurring this liner. I don't want it like super sharp. Jessup brush again, go into a very stark white beneath the brow. Give it a nice bright highlight. You can blend it slightly into that shadow and then layer it again with that white until it becomes super duper bright. Going back with that fluffy brush, add back that pigment to make that contrast even more stark. These little tiny details are what matter. You can bring your eyeliner as far as you want to. For my eyes, I usually stop right in the middle here. So I take the liner and I drag it to the middle of my eye here, then I stop there. But you can bring it to the very inner corner of your eye, whatever you like. This is just a shape that works for my eyes. And later on, we're gonna tight line in the waterline itself. So it's gonna give me that sharpness that I want in the inner corner without having to apply it on my lid. For the beautiful sparkle, Half Magic Beauty, their glitter puck. Gorgeous, beautiful, just actual puck of glitter. If you see anything that protects the product itself, never throw it away. So you can use any glitter you like. You can use gold, pink, purple. Take some on my finger and then just pat, pat, like holy shit. That is glitter. This is just gonna last me, I don't know how many lifetimes. I hope I bring this with me to heaven, because imagine being in heaven serving this. You need just so little, and then you can just tap it on any eye look. Like, how stunning is that? How stunning. Yeah, she knows exactly who she is. Now for that concentrated inner corner, you're gonna use a short, teensy weensy flat brush. The more compact a brush is, the more pigment it can collect, and more focused, more targeted that product is gonna go. So I'm gonna make this little brush just swim in the glitter. Oh, before that, I almost missed it, but there is shadow on the under eye. So inner corner to the rest of the under eye, a light brown, gently sweeping back and forth. A deeper brown on the outer corner. We're gonna make this really, really faded out. So the exact shades you're using on top, we're gonna use on the bottom. Very light hand, once again. Having a light hand just helps the blend be more blurred. And then finally, to sharpen that all up and to bring darkness, a black, a little bit more gray toned here. Too gray, too gray. White to make it a lighter gray. Yes, that works. And while I'm at it, I'm actually gonna just add that white and bring it down, switch into a fluffy, large blending brush. Going into that white, I'm gonna bring it all the way down and doing that hug with that blush again. If you check out all the looks on my Instagram, I love stark highlight, especially underneath the eyes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that just makes it more cohesive. Connect to this white and this white. Glitter brush. In the inner corner you go. Still need some help, so I'm gonna use a very classic makeup trick, Fix Plus. I'm gonna spray some on my brush. Be really careful that this doesn't touch my eye. And then go in with my pinky, and that's so much better. So much better. And then once it sets, it's gonna stay. I think it would be better if I used like a glitter pen with this, but I could not find the one that I was looking for. Now for the stardom, we're gonna draw the stars on the eyes. And you know the drill, take a super light shade to start mapping. I'm gonna put a dot for where the middle of the star is, and then we're gonna add the 5 points of the star. So this, I kind of like graze over or hover to where I want, just to get the feel of where I want that first point to go. And hers end kind of like in the middle of the brow, so I'm going to put a little dot here. And just in case I make a mistake, I use a lighter shade that is dark enough to see but light enough to blend in and start over for that dot if I make a mistake. And another dot is going into my brow, and another dot, another dot, another dot is just right underneath my brow, just hugging very tightly. And then again, just very light shades. It's going to cross over and then bridge of the nose. Then I see it curves next to the bridge of the nose. I'm marking the end of the point. I think these two are kind of the same length. Now you're gonna take the deeper brown, if you're sure of where those points are, and then start tracing, connecting those dots. This one goes across quite straight. If you're nervous about how your hand is gonna move, if it's shaky, just hold it in place while your head moves. Just doing a little no. When you're drawing these stars, just make sure that they all kind of make sense while you're drawing. Like, this one's not going to be up here, this one's not going to be like too slanted this way, and where this one ends seems to be right next to the corner of my left eye. So when you're carefully mapping this out and it looks a little funky, that's okay. We're going to start drawing in the details. So this looks a little funky, right? Like that star does not seem like it's really aligned. So I'm going to carefully start redrawing some of those areas. If this part rubs off, that's okay. I'm going to go in with a sponge again. I noticed that this part is actually more curved inwards. So that's gonna go away. That's gonna get covered. There, that is so much better. And I think this one actually extends past. Give it a little bit of asymmetry and looks better. Now we're gonna move on to the other star. To the beginning of the star, we're gonna dot there. This one meets here, right underneath the eye here, just a little bit of a space. Now everyone's eyes are different, so if yours look a little bit off, you can always just remove it with a Q-tip. I'm using a darker shade here, but you can always go in with a lighter one. I'm kind of taking a risk here. I really hope I don't regret it. Sometimes I just get super impatient. I just want to slay right away. Now I notice that this one is supposed to go downwards a little bit more. And I don't know if I like to keep it like this or if I should shift it downwards. Because I shaped it in black, I'm just gonna keep it like this. And this is why patience is a must when you're doing this type of makeup. And then when you're doing this makeup or you're recreating a look, you realize like, holy crap, you took so much time doing this, so much skill with that tip of this brush just to give it that little sharp ending. I'm gonna color it in, then drag this end out so it gives that really nice sharp end. So when you're cleaning up, and if this starts to blur, I took white shadow and then I lightly tapped just to sharpen up that line again, that black line. Also add in again that highlight, and then you can just pretend that this is just a glowing star. Happy little mistake. Now moving on, before I go in with the black on this other star, I am gonna add in that point of highlight, because sometimes while I'm shading I forget that I'm supposed to add in a highlight. I'm gonna add that in first, and then I'm gonna go in with a compact brush and then start painting in that black. I will leave the tips here for later, so don't care about those areas right now. Just fill in the middle. And then going back with that pointy brush. Then now blending in that highlight with the rest of the star. And then another fluffy brush just to help blend that even further. Imagine that that highlight is coming out from the inner corner of the eye. So you're going to focus that highlight there. Whatever is left on this brush for the white, just lightly tap and spread that out. And you can also take concealer, foundation to remove and add back that color. I'm going to add highlight here as well, just so that it matches that star right next to it. And here's the time where we can retouch any areas that kind of faded away. I'm glad that the pink is still sticking out. This is one of my favorite brushes, so good for detailing work. I'm using this just to sharpen that tip. I got nervous and I'm like, I'm using this for sharpening, and like, that was not sharpened, but handy dandy Q-tip. Yeah, you know what, that's fine. I'm just gonna leave it blurred like that. I'm gonna add blush back here. I'm gonna add a little highlight to the nose with that matte white shadow. Then to deepen the eyes, I'm going to add black liner. This one is aqua resist. Whoa, it is so hot in here that this just melted. Adding this to the waterline. Carefully, carefully. House of Lashes Noir Fairy. When you add black liner to the waterline, it just makes those lashes blend in more naturally. And tight lining is like liner between the lashes. Depending on the artist, they'll include the waterline or just between the lashes. Okay, now lashes are on, and do not forget to add bottom mascara. It truly just makes your eyes stand out. Little tiny details like this makes the eye look that much more cunty. So I turn this vertical and then I sweep back and forth, like coat every individual lash. Please coat it, and I coat it, and I coat it. Let's do some final shaping and cleanup. I found that this one was too long, so I erased that, making these points a little bit thicker. It's almost like a little bit of a misshaped star, but this is still cute. MAC Whirl. And then Peachy Nude from ABH. I love this velvety lipstick. And the final touches, we're gonna add some beauty marks.